Hi everybody, and welcome to our webinar, AI-powered engineering at scale, unlocking value in the consumer sector. My name's Claire Allam and I'm the Global Head of Consumer and Manufacturing at PA Consulting. Over the years, I've led many digital transformations, so helping clients in the consumer and services industry really transform how they use data, AI, and digital at the heart of their businesses to rethink what that means for their employees and for their consumers. I spend a lot of time working with executives thinking about how product, how technology, how AI can really deliver return on investment. So whether that is a growing business, whether that's more efficiency, or whether that is a better product or service. At PA, we're helping organisations across the consumer and services sector really put AI to work. So thinking about those AI use cases that really deliver return on investment. We did some research recently in our Brand Impact Index campaign. We interviewed 360 executives and thousands of consumers. And we found from all of those executives that every single one of them was investing in AI. But the reality was only 35% of them were getting any return on that investment. So it's a really important topic. I think it's especially important for businesses in the consumer and services industry because they're really impacted by some of the realities that we see in the world today. So most impacted by those rising costs, whether it's cost of materials, cost of labour, impact of tariffs and taxes, and disruption across the supply chain. But then also on the other side, being squeezed by consumers, whether those are customers, so consumers at the end, or business consumers as well. So the rising cost of living, the confidence in spending, but also rising expectations in the level of services and experiences they receive. So a lot of the clients that we speak to really want to know how can they use AI to really deliver better products and services? And how do they do that in the most efficient way? So we're going to get into that today through the discussion. We're going to talk about things like how do you move beyond the basics? So having AI not just as a companion to make basic code, but to really transform the whole software delivery lifecycle from requirements through to development, through to testing and beyond. How do you define the real benefit and quantify it so that you can see engineering done better or engineering done more efficiently? And how do you avoid building in that risk that so many are so worried about? And then how do you choose the right tools? You know, where there's a new thing launched every day, when you're hearing in the news that there's something new and exciting on the cards. How do you choose what to invest in? And how do you keep pace with that level of change? So we've got a fantastic panel of experts joining us today, and we're going to get into that discussion with some practical learnings along the way. So we've got Esther Lloyd joining us from Google, where she's a customer engineer. We've got Luke Jackson joining us from PA Consulting, who's one of our Google Cloud experts. And we've got Nick Stevenson joining us from Rentokil Initial, where he's a product owner. Okay, so let's get started. Luke, can you set the scene for us a bit? What do we mean by the software delivery lifecycle, and what could AI's role be in that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Claire. I think SDLC, software delivery lifecycle, it's a term mentioned and used by a lot of enterprise organizations. The whole point of the life cycle and for documenting it is to show what that rigor is from start to finish, to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing as part of that life cycle, as well as the teams and the personnel and the talent and knowledge that comes up with it. The SDLC starts from the design and testing phase, which is how do you ideate an idea, what's the right way to do it, what are the requirements that surface out of it. And we're seeing that AI is used across the whole of the SDLC. So it's how do you get the ideation phase, how do you make sure that the right teams are notified at the requirements and design stage, all the way through to then the coding and testing side. So from a coding point of view, we'll talk about that in a bit later in terms of what AI can do. But from a testing and then deployment and then iterative response, we're seeing some really impactful stuff when it comes to AI, and then how some of the more powerful Google technologies help to complement that so that teams are better equipped of using all of that coding and all of that workflow management to be able to deliver faster, but also better quality as well by leveraging the tools in the right way.
Okay, so you're saying that the software delivery cycle isn't just about coding, it's about working out what to build, building it right, and then getting it into the hands of as customers or users as quickly as possible.
Exactly that, because an idea, if it isn't ideated, might not ever reach the actual coding phase, which is absolutely the right thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Using AI to try and quantify the benefits in terms of the requirement, do consumers actually want it? Is it worth the organization investing there? AI helps to actually quantify what that value is actually a lot more. So the classic agile fail faster actually helps facilitate that process quite significantly.
Fantastic, thank you, Luke. Okay, so when we're defining what AI-powered engineering actually means, we need to kind of be quite specific about that, because I think it can be a lot of things to a lot of people. Nick, when at Rentokil Initial, how do you define it, and what are the outcomes you're looking to drive through it at Rentokil Initial?
Yeah, I think AI is obviously the buzzword of the day right now. Everyone's talking about it, and we're getting a lot of pressure from our senior management and other places to use AI wherever we can. And I think we're honestly can be a little bit cautious of it. We're not ready to dive into absolutely everything yet. It is a journey that we're going to need to take, but the end goal is to be an AI first organization. So we want to put AI in the tools as a tool, well, more as a partner as a tool. So we want AI to be the thing that everyone goes to first in order to deliver what they're going to do. And to get there, we're starting that journey in a controlled environment wherever we can. We can't dive into anything at a pace that sets us up for failure. So we try to make sure that we can deliver results and prove that this is going to work the way it is. I think for me, I work in the product team, as you said, as a product owner, and the business outcome that's most important for me is speed to market. As you said, we work in an agile paced environment. We have expectations to deliver new features, and we get asked a lot of features. The quicker we can build a POC and prove if it's going to work, the quicker that we can then deliver that POC and see if it's going to give benefit, and ultimately the quicker we can get it into the hands of our customers, whether that's the in-house staff that we use or our end customers who use our applications and our software. That's the biggest benefit that we're getting out of it, and that's our goal, right?
Perfect. Thank you, Nick. So Esther, being from Google, what does AI-powered engineering mean for you, and what do you see as the biggest value that it brings?
Weirdly, I don't think it's even just AI-powered engineering. I just think it's going to be a new phase of engineering. It's going to be incorporated throughout. And what does it mean for me is, I think it's exactly what we're talking about. It's been able to adopt AI in every phase. It's funny, if we think back to when sort of the internet came about, and now we can't imagine our lives without it, right? That's where AI is going. I now already, day to day, cannot imagine being able to get through my day-to-day life without AI. It encompasses me everywhere, follows me everywhere, inside and outside the SDLC as well. So for instance, using Google Maps to get here, I relied on AI. I didn't rely on AI to figure out the location of the place, and I failed on that, and I went to the wrong place.
Sure, you could find an agent for that to tell you where you need to go.
I should probably write one. But even this morning, actually, I built a demo application in 5 minutes, and to me, that seemed like a long time. It was probably only a year ago that would have taken me a week. So I think it's a part of everything in a way of how we're sort of operating.
Luke, I wonder if you could talk a bit about how AI can reduce the burden of some of those tasks that engineers may not like. How does it reduce the burden for engineers in that process, and what does it allow them to spend their time doing?
Absolutely right. I think if you speak to most developers, I think once you first contextualize that actually AI isn't here to replace your job, it's actually here to make your life better. Because I think that's the most common fear, right? I mean, when we speak to customers across PA, our philosophy in this, it's not to reduce headcount, it's to help you accelerate faster time to market, to Nick's point, and what Rent-A-Kill Initial are doing, and then how do you actually get features out the door faster, but also with a high level of quality. So I think once you break that barrier down from a developer point of view, they actually then start to embrace it quite significantly. And it actually does the heavy lifting. And for the most common parts, it automates the bits that a developer doesn't like to do. And quite frankly, is the lower aspects of code that doesn't really have the much value associated to it. Similarly, even from a coding perspective, you know, some of the Google technology in terms of Google Code Assist, it's there as the sort of de facto pair programmer now. So that actually what we're finding is that the classic topology of junior developer is too nervous to speak to the senior developer, so they won't, you know, they'll keep it bottled up, and, you know, they might delay a feature because they're so worried about, you know, that sort of level of angst that they might get. The fact that you can actually now use sort of more conversational based experience means that developers are actually upskilled a lot quicker, and then features are actually coming out a lot faster. So I think once you get the fundamentals right from an adoption perspective and reduce what those psychological barriers are, that it's not about reducing headcount, it's about making your job, you know, being more empowered, making sure that you've got the knowledge at your fingertips, you actually then start to see some quite significant adoption rates that then start to prove out a lot of the ROI in terms of a business case as well.
Fantastic.
My team is allergic to documentation. And with Code Assist, I think one of the biggest benefits we've seen, something like that, you know, is the benefits that we get out of it. As one of them is the ability to do things that before that we were just lacking at. You know, any documentation is better than no documentation, and AI is very good at documenting code. It's very good at documenting schemas or architectural maps or diagrams. It's very good at logically working out something that is written quite clearly in a coded structure. So the documentation we get out of it is documentation we wouldn't otherwise have, which is really powerful when we're trying to move at scale other things or run on other projects and get the information that we need and get those the information that people need to develop and build.
It's a really good application. And yeah, my name is Jess, and I literally was a software tester. So I'm so glad that you said documentation and not the lower aspects being testing, because that should be the foremost. But we are seeing a lot of people using Code Assist or Gemini CLI to be able to generate the test cases as well, which can act as a form of documentation. But yeah, I'm glad you said documentation.
Documentation, a popular topic. How about user-centricity? You know, we talked about how AI can help write code, help documentation evidently. You know, we're hearing use cases around how AI can also help our engineering colleagues be closer to the consumer and really understand what that impact can be. Nick, I don't know if you've got an example from Rent-A-Kill Initial, how it's helped you become closer to the customer, closer to the consumer, and understand how features and benefits can really impact on that.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, data analytics is probably where I would lean on that. I mean, as you said, we're talking about using AI in the whole range of the engineering life cycle, of the development life cycle, and that includes getting that feedback and the information that we need to make the decisions that we need to make in order to build a product that works for our customers, which is in essence why I'm here. A large part of that is being able to digest huge amounts of information that we have about our customers, about feedback, about success of products and stuff that gets quite difficult with the data lakes and the big piles of information that we have that we accumulate over time because we take a snapshot of anything that we can do. And so being able to quickly analyze for strategic or tactical opportunities and options, the ability to digest that information into actual manageable chunks so that somebody is empowered to make a decision that benefits the business is hugely powerful. I mean, customers, I suppose, also expect a level of AI. I mean, maybe moving away from the question, but you know, using AI to develop AI is sometimes where we seem to be sitting right now, and you know, people expect lots of features, and they expect us to be a technology-first company. You know, we are at heart a technical company, so our customers are coming to us because we provide technical options, and being able to move in the space of AI and move in the space of the current technology of the day really helps us to keep our customers happy.
Fantastic. All right, we'll finish that question there. Thank you. So I joke a little bit when I say this, but mostly I'm serious, that it feels like there is a new AI tool released or talked about every day. And if it's not a tool, it's a new feature. And I know from experience that engineers definitely like to experiment with the latest technology. We all know that's true. But we also know it can be really challenging for businesses to know which tools to use, which tools to kind of adopt en masse in their organization, balancing the need to have the latest tools and to meet that developer expectation, but also the need to keep software licensing and licensing costs to a reasonable level. I know a lot of clients are facing this challenge and thinking about that trade-offs. Esther, I wonder if you could share a little bit about your view on how you can make decisions around what tools to adopt and how to keep up with that latest developments.
Yeah, it's a really good question. As someone that lives and breathes this and also is that front line to answering these questions for a lot of customers, even I struggle trying to keep up. And you're right, it's not just every day. I think it's every kind of couple of minutes. We launched, probably even a couple of seconds. We launched the Gemini CLI just this year as an open source terminal-based AI assistant tool. And just last week, we announced extensions, which are custom extensions that you can build on. And so you can bring your own MCP server. This is lots of buzzwords, I'm sorry. But you can basically build bespoke features that can help you no matter where you are in the SDLC. That means now, because it's open source, and just with that little bit of extensionality, people are developing things left, right, and center that can help you in your day-to-day. Which is really exciting, but can be daunting. I think definitely, and that's just one example, let alone trying to choose maybe code assist to be able to adopt at scale within your company, or thinking about maybe Gemini Enterprise if you're thinking about the whole company as well. I think what I've seen really work is people tend to gravitate towards the things that meet them where they are and what works for them. So with everything that's newly released, there are certain aspects that might be continuously adopted for everyone, and just trying to be able to surface them as a company if possible, and giving people and developers especially a choice about what tools and technology they might use, the better. At the end of the day, the thing I always advise people, and I'm completely biased, I will say that. I tend to say that what underpins all of the great experiences, all the tools, is the models, or is Gemini. So if you're choosing that, then no matter what is built on top, it's probably going to be a good solution.
Fantastic, thank you, Esther. Luke, when you're working with clients and helping them work through these kind of problems, how do you advise or help them make decisions between options of tooling in this AI environment?
And similar to Esther, right? I mean, being an architect, the obvious answer is, well, it depends all the time.
The classic answer.
Exactly. But to Esther's point, a lot of it is either the models or the extensible nature that it gives you. Google have got a very good track record of always being developer first, and that sort of developer centricity. I think the benefit of doing that means, even if the product changes, the fact that now a lot of the extensions are now open source means that if the tool isn't doing what you need, a developer or an individual can then build the extension needed. And for most part, most of the AI tools and platforms all roughly do the same thing, right? There is the dirty little secret is it's either due to some sort of vendor lock-in, or there is a bit of a reason. Although ironically, we are seeing actually people gravitating to Google Code Assist more, partly because once we've done a proof of concept or a POV exercise, we've actually found that Google Code Assist actually understands the code base a lot. There's the classic vanilla other products will give you a very generic recommendation, but only did Google Code Assist actually understand the structure, the syntax, where something's used before. so that when there's a new feature that needs to be implemented or a new method or a bit of logic, it's actually using the structure that's already been used. So again, humans always in the loop with this. I think that's the one thing we've always found, is that AI is there, but it's to help the developer and guide them. But we've actually seen that the Google Code Assist technology has been the most rich in terms of meaningful aspects. And that's what a lot of customers want. They don't want the more generic vanilla offering. They want a developer that's either net new, so a new developer onboarding. They want the AI to almost teach that new developer, oh, what does good look like? And when you speak to a lot of the leaders, it is always the what does good look like? And we've been working with a number of different customers to try and define what does good look like, because it is so different across every organization.
That's really helpful, thank you. And then Nick, I'll just come to you on, there's a lot that developers need to keep up to date with, and a lot of learning and a lot of communication. How do you make sure that developers are continually informed or communicated with around some of these changes inside Rentokil Initial?
Yeah, I think our engineers have a really good community that we're able to leverage in this area. We have existing practices, existing governance, and existing processes and workflows that they all work towards. So we're able to leverage that with our engineers. They're excited to use these tools. They're excited to use them in ways that benefit them most. So we have a lot of channels that we're able to assist on that. And I think, you know, communicating with them and good training and good standards and good practices are all stuff that they will adhere to, and they want to be given in some respect, because they want to play around with these things, but they know as much as anyone else that you know, there are some ways of working that they have to stick to, and we've got existing security processes, we've got existing data privacy processes. It's no different. We can add in existing governance on AI from the group level, and we can add existing best practices on AI at the engineer level.
Great, thank you.
So good point actually on the communities as well. We do something very similar, or I do something very similar, like on how to stay up to date with things. So every week I do a digest, an opinionated digest on things that I'm looking at and like researching, and send it out to my colleagues. So I say, hey, there's a new tool, there's a new update, there's new release notes. And it's that sort of way, and like what the applications are, or hey, a customer was trying this, like it's that kind of constant feedback and sort of meeting your processes where you are that I find is the best way, because otherwise sometimes it just gets a little bit overwhelming. That's nice.
We underpin it with a a central AI product team essentially that's able to communicate those changes out, because as you say, sometimes people do stuff that's exciting and new and a great opportunity, and how do you make sure that other people hear about it so that you can learn from it?
It's such a good point actually. In the latest DORA State of DevOps report, the key takeaway was AI is an amplifier, and that's exactly what you're doing right now. So AI amplifies processes, but you're also using your processes to amplify AI. It's quite nice.
So with AI becomes the inevitable worry and risk for organisations. Luke, what proactive measures or frameworks should clients be putting in place to make sure that they have got ethical and responsible and lowered risk use of AI?
It's a very good point. When AI first came out, no one was truly risk adverse enough to put something into production, partly because of unintended consequences. AI was there to help either accelerate productivity or, there was a lot of productivity gains, but when it comes to sort of core AI models, everyone was very everyone was really risk adverse to it. I think as now the AI market has started to evolve, both the developer mindset as well as the tools and sort of frameworks that now exist within the market are more aimed at either being proactive to monitor what people are doing. When AI first came out, people were putting chatbots onto websites. It was very easy to trick it, and partly because people wanted to deploy and put it into the market and say how AI can help. I think what people also forgot was, because it's new, people are going to try and break it. And how do you actually then start to build in that a lot of that self-defensive nature? I think what Esther said at the very start, how we develop in AI almost should adopt the same principles that we would build any other project. You know, we should always still be self-defensive. We should do user validation, you know, a lot of the bare fundamentals. But when there's inherent risks, specifically with AI in terms of like prompt injection and everything else, there does exist a good range of tools within the market. Google, again, are investing heavily in terms of some of the practices that people need to adopt from AI, how they protect their own models in terms of Gemini and some of the others, and a lot of the features that exist within Vertex. I think as developers start to use that, we're also finding that, you know, people are having the right counsel that it comes to it, or from a peer programming perspective, people are making sure that those frameworks and governance practices are actually embedded as part of the SDLC when it comes to AI.
Yeah, I think that's a good point actually. I like the idea of how I always think about this as well is if you're calling the Gemini API, it is literally just another API call. You can essentially apply the same principles as you would to any other API call if you're going to adopt it into your own company or into your own application or whatever you're developing. Maybe you're developing a new agent. So things like prompt injection, there's the same principles, security, data, governance, having that user feedback. Like that's all core concepts, and at the end of the day, it's quite nice because it's another API that we're calling a very powerful API, but we can still apply the same best practices and principles. Something I really like that we're doing in all our products, and you'll probably see it across the board, is we always get end user feedback as well. And we've done this for a long time. We're very customer centric. But you'll see, and even in Code Assist, you might have seen this as well, you can rate an answer or you can provide feedback, right? Like that will help us understand what is working and what is not, so we can better improve all the guardrails and the security on top of what might be the guardrails for an underlying model to be able to give you the best experience. But it's a constant feedback loop.
So building on that thought of guardrails, Nick, I wonder if you could give us a bit of insight on in Rentokil Initial. What's the governance that you're putting around the use of AI in the software development lifecycle, and how impactful is it being?
Yeah, I mean, we have to centralize the governance that we're doing to some extent here. We've got an AI team that can sit above it all and make sure that the things that we're doing follow what we expect it to do. We've got about 29,000 users using Gemini right now. And if they weren't using Gemini, I am 80% sure they'd be using something else. And that is a risk in itself. So I think it comes in two paths. We sort of capture things in our change management process to ensure that it conforms with what we expect it to do, and it's captured by security and it's reviewed in our normal processes. But also that we provide people with a safer playground, that they don't have to run off and use things that they've got from websites or things that they picked up from elsewhere, and we give them tools that they can actually play around with and do what we want them to do. So we sort of try and capture it from both sides. And I mean, touching on points maybe on AI, maybe nepotistically or ironically, as AI gets better and we train it on what our idea of secure and right is in Gemini Code Assist and stuff, it will start improving our security. It already is. It gives suggestions. It captures, industry standards that maybe our developers have missed. We use it to review code and all of those things. So, sort of ironically, it's in itself helping to de-risk us.
100%. We've actually released new features recently. So we've got the Code Assist review agent that you can put into GitHub. Does exactly that. It's almost your pair programmer to be able to review pull request at first pass. We've got like security agents as well that you can embed, so you can quickly assess, hey, is this actually adhering to our security best practices, but also standard security best practices. So completely 100%. I think the more that we're adopting it and the more that we're seeing, oh, how can we actually meet us? How can we actually adopt this en masse in a way that works for us? Exactly it.
I think it builds upon the ROI point of view as well, because then you start to, as you speak to, chief security officers or privacy officers, as you then start to embed AI as part of the SDLC, there then becomes mitigations to it, which is yes, you're using AI to do it, but actually it's the most qualified to do it, because there's never going to be a security person always embedded in the team. But then you can start to augment it in the right way. You know, at what level does the security agent need to notify the data privacy team? You know, if someone's storing credit card information that they shouldn't be, when do you then get the human in the loop to say, no, you can't deploy that to production? Like, there's the how hard do you go, which is no, you know, that's not going to go, versus some lenience to the rules. That I think becomes interesting.
It's always synthesis, it's always both, isn't it? I mean,
Well, it depends.
use technology to protect the technology and make sure that you're governing the technology at the same time, you know?
So we've obviously got the experts here, so folk that are already adopting AI in engineering and leading their teams to do so. But imagine you're talking to an organisation that's experimenting with this and they see the potential. Luke, what would you say that they need to put on their roadmap? How do they create that plan to adopt AI in their software delivery lifecycle? What would that mean?
So I think first, having a robust ROI plan in terms of what they're trying to achieve. You know, is it efficiency? Is it quality? Is it pace of documentation? I think having that quite clear is central to the roadmap. I think what we're now seeing is that when people estimate tickets, it's with a level of AI in there. And that could be across different aspects of the SDLC. It might be that actually it's a classic developer model which AI isn't used because it's a feature that isn't ready for AI or it's yet unproven, but maybe they're automating the part of the documentation, which again, AI is at its most powerful when it's automating tasks that are more mundane or less value add. So how do you actually then become a bit more richer in your roadmap to say, if we did this and it increased 2 to 4 days because we've optimized our documentation, it might then mean that you can build a new feature or two. So your downstream consumers are far more interested in the use of AI. And, you know, I don't necessarily care if, you know, the company that I'm interacting with is using AI. I just care the pace of features that I'm actually getting features to. And that becomes far more important. So I think understanding what your return on investment and your business case is helps you to quantify that roadmap. But we've seen the most innovation and the most sort of efficiency gains very much so in the actual development and in the testing perspective.
So you'd start there, you'd say, make sure you get AI embedded in your development and your testing as the first source of benefit.
100%. And then the adoption to actually the developers, you know, to Nick and Nesta's point, developers are going to use AI tools. It's just inevitable, but give them the ability and the capability to do it that's secure for your organization, and tell them what's available and when and how to use it. Because once they know that, they'll then start to use it more heavily rather than, oh, I don't know if I should use it here, or I don't know where to use it. So I think that enabling and that sort of culture of collaboration becomes far more compelling. And then you actually probably find that developers then start to help developers to then install the right components, or to build a new extension, or to get more involved with the pull request because people want to see what they're doing differently within AI. So I think by fostering that, everything then starts to flow more and more, and happy developers mean faster features.
And Nick, from a product point of view then, so if you're thinking about where you might want to start with AI in the more of the product sense, where would you start? Where would you tell an organisation to get stuck in?
Yeah, well, we've been working with PA using Gemini Code Assist for a POC on, you know, working out whether we can get an ROI on productivity is ultimately probably where we look. And you know, to your point on they're using AI already, I think when we separate out how long something will take without AI versus how long it will take with AI, I think we can get to benefits of upwards of 60% is what we're seeing. You know, when we do a feature cradle to grave, applying AI, or completely estimating it, not applying AI, we get about a 60% saving. I think for most use cases that probably comes down, and maybe 38-40% is probably a better number for a lot of the specific use cases that we run. I think on average we're coming out at about a 45-minute to an hour a day improvement in productivity for an engineer. And if you're looking at ROI, I invite anyone to estimate what their engineering team costs at about 10% of their time as a level of productivity benefit, and
that's pretty big.
Juicy number.
Yeah,
it's quite
juicy.
A good number.
That's amazing. I like the return on investment phase as well. And yes, it will be cringy, but vibe coding, so this wasn't a term that anyone knew about until February this year. And if I think back 1 year ago, it was unheard of that I could create an application from scratch from a single prompt in natural language and to be able to deploy it to production in, say, about 5 minutes. Now that's completely feasible and completely possible. And that return on investment, your investment is your prompt. Your return is potentially a whole new product. It could be a whole new business. That is incredible. And to me, it's one of the best ways to sort of showcase how to adopt these things, because anyone can do that. You don't have to be a developer. You don't have to be technical. You can input a prompt and you can have something that you can use.
I think we lean towards the benefits that our actual engineers, our developers start to gain, and I think we forget about the role that the entire development team is playing in this and the benefits we get across every aspect of the team. From an early point, we can POC faster, we can write user stories faster, we can get acceptance criteria that are probably better than the acceptance criteria that a junior or whatever is coming up with, because it's analysing it the way that we want it to. Unit tests for developers, actual test case automation, seeing if it's been successful, documentation, we've talked about it. We're getting, there are potential benefits for productivity, speed to market and efficiencies across the entire life cycle.
Is there any opportunities to embed AI in things like operations or in how you maintain products? We've talked a lot about new product development and getting features to market quicker, but what about that run cost?
Absolutely. I'm going to jump in on this because I really like this as a topic. Two really cool things that I've seen recently that customers have been doing. One is slightly more, I think, new to the market, but we've released a new model called the computer use model. And essentially it uses Playwright behind the scenes, but it can automate interacting with a web page and actually just like a client-facing application. So you can basically, in natural language, you can say say if you've got an end-using application or a web page, in natural language explain what your customer user journey might be and automate it from scratch, and it will give you constant feedback.
Wow.
All without having to touch it. And what people have been doing and what customers have been doing is creating personas based on their audiences to get constant feedback without having to actually go out and get all that information or even do it before a feature is released. And I think that's brilliant. And the second thing is we probably have all seen, if things go wrong, there's just logs everywhere, there's errors, it's so hard to be able to get all the right people in the room and all the right data to try to figure out maybe what's going on. AI is brilliant at that. It will just consume tons and tons of data and give you insights into your operations. You can use Cloud Assist as well to go into your logs if you're using Operations Suite and identify in seconds as opposed to maybe hours or days what the root cause is, and actually have a suggested improvement for your code and then ship it.
So an AI-assisted root cause analysis and a post-incident review in one.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting.
It's good.
And in the development cycle as well, the ability to pick up on bugs before they become a problem and all of these things, it's very similar, but the ability to actually identify issues before they become a problem, and that's when they generate cost of going back to the development cycle, being tested again, going back into the hands of business for more feedback. We can lose weeks on a significant bug that's missed in the development process.
So we're going to do a bit of future gazing now to finish off. We've all talked about the pace of change being huge and things that didn't exist last year are existing at the beginning of this year, and we're operating completely differently. I'd like to know for each of you what you think is coming next, what you're most excited about over the next couple of years. Esther, I'm going to come to you first. What are you most excited about?
I don't know what's going to come, but I have a few opinions of my own about where I think things might be going or where I want things to be going. two major aspects. So one thing I'm really excited about is, like, you see, like Gemini Live, you can able to do voice to text and then send it through to Gemini, and you've got interrupt signals. I see, hopefully, potentially, maybe even a year's time from now, I talked about the cringe word vibe coding. What if it was just like talking? So you could whiteboard out maybe a new product or a solution with a development team. You could all be talking, Gemini would be there, and in the background, developing your application. So taking in all the natural input and then actually create something from scratch, I think is not that far away. And I think would be hugely powerful. And the other thing I'm really excited about, or where I see things going, is we've kind of gone through really major trends in tech. So we had like the desktop era, we have the web era, so that's where Google's really, really powerful, right? I don't know anyone that doesn't really know like Google Maps, or at least uses one Google sort of app. We've got mobile, everyone's got mobile. And the next phase is AI. So I'm excited to see AI apps come in. So we've had web apps, got mobile apps. What are AI apps going to be like? And I think that could be a really exciting new space.
Thanks so much, Esther. So what I learned from that is that I too can maybe develop my own product one day. Okay, Luke, so what do you think the future holds?
So I think mine's specifically about what does it mean for the SDLC, and I think to Esther's point, I think we're going to get in a position where the AI is going to be able to have more forced recommendations as to what good looks like. I think at the moment, we're quite heavily reliant on telling the AI what does good look like. Whereas I think as teams start to develop and evolve, I think we're going to be in a position where the AI agent or the AI tool or the platform would start to enforce some classic SDLC governance type stuff. You know, is it a test-driven development environment? What, you know, the AI to have a lot more guarded principles about what it will and won't do, rather than sort of more overrides. And I think this is coming from a perspective that a lot of organizations always want to understand what does good look like and what's the non-negotiables that you can almost do it. Whereas at the moment, the agents and AI is built to have the human in the loop, and I think it will still always need an aspect of that. But at what point does the AI agent actually start to enforce a lot of that key principles and methodologies that a classic developer could either just choose to ignore, or that takes up a lot of time from a human aspect that AI can actually just help either automate from a guardrails and governance perspective in order to enforce the message quite a lot more.
Fantastic. So it's setting the bar and not letting you pass if you don't meet that bar.
Exactly. I know, Claire, you and I have worked before, you know, often the freedom within the framework. I think that guidance will still be there, but to have a lot more accountability. Whereas I think at the moment, you know, are we in a world where the AI can have too much accountability? I think there's a bit of an impasse, but as the years go more, I think it will start to have a bit more of an accountability, particularly within the SDLC.
Exciting stuff. And then Nick, over to you. What do you think's coming?
I think if I could predict what was coming, then I'd be making a lot of more money right now than I actually am. I don't know, maybe I hope that with the news going around at the moment of where AI could lead us in a working world, that maybe I can work a little bit less and spend more time with my kids. That's not an answer.
Productivity is getting higher.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's tricky, right? I think we're seeing some interesting. We're heading exactly as you said, maybe into this world of it's the latest application, it's the latest environment that we're becoming a part of. You know, we've done mobile, we've done stuff in the past, and now we're in AI. And I think some of the problems that we have are the same problems. I mean, already I've got AI tools embedded in pretty much every tool that I use, and already they're starting to not communicate with each other. So already I'm finding that I've got isolated AIs that can promise everything that I could possibly do, but I can't connect the two damn things together the same way I couldn't connect applications together 10 years ago, to the same way I couldn't connect mobile apps together the way I wanted to. So will a lot change? The way that we operate, I think, certainly will, but I mean, as you say, I think we're always going to need humans in the loop. We're always going to need people there doing it, and it's going to be a tool that makes us more productive without a shadow of a doubt, but I don't know.
Fantastic.
I don't know.
Thank you, Nick. So it's going to revolutionise how we work, but the work is still going to need to get done, but hopefully in a bit less time.
That's the plan.
Fantastic. So thank you so much to my fantastic panelists. It's been a great conversation and I've certainly learned a lot. I think if we round up from the top of our conversation, we heard a lot about the fact that it's really important to know what you want to get out of investing in AI engineering in the life cycle. You know, whether that's increasing productivity and maybe the example from Rent to Kill Initial of being able to get a product, a proof of concept feature out to test with users in a matter of days, or it might be the examples that we heard of getting rid of that work that maybe developers don't like in documentation, and we all know how important that is. What I took away from the discussion around how you make decisions on what software to invest in, what tools, AI tools to add into your suite, was really about thinking about what understands your context. So what understands your code base and can make specific recommendations that meet you and your business need. And then finally, you know, we wrapped up on how to do it safe and secure, and we know that there's lots of great tools out there, including the tools that Google Cloud provide to make sure you can develop in a safe and secure way using AI, and really thinking about your roadmap by thinking about the value that you want to deliver. Thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to discuss more, if you'd like to dive deeper into any of these challenges, do get in contact. The details are below. And thank you again for your time.